Hi, my name is Michelle Hewer, and I'm here to give you some top tips on how to secure the UK Global Talent Visa in digital technology. Securing a global talent visa is not just about being good at what you do, it's about proving that you are a leader or potential leader with national and international recognition, significant impact, and recognition beyond your immediate workplace or your job. The strongest applications show a pattern of leadership, innovation, and contribution to the wider tech ecosystem. So, I'm going to give you some really practical strategic tips to help you build a compelling UK Global Talent Visa in digital technology application and profile. So, just a little bit about myself if you don't already know me. My name is Michelle Hewer. I am a UK Global Talent Visa coach and recipient. I am Vietnamese, Australian, British, and Irish, so I have three citizenships. And the most sort of rewarding one that I've received is the British one because I was a recipient of the Global Talent Visa and secured my ILR in 2016. 19 and then received my citizenship. I spent 7 years in the UK, in Manchester, London, and Newcastle. I used to be a solicitor in Australia and then became a tech entrepreneur in the UK. How I started doing all this was I actually created and drafted a blog about my story on how I received the UK Global Talent Visa. That blog went viral, and then I received so many inquiries about how I got my own visa and started helping everyone with their applications. So over the years, and it's been 10 years this year, I've coached over 2,000 tech entrepreneurs, senior exec and tech employees. During COVID, my success rate was 100% for applicants from Nigeria. And in summer 2025, I received a 100% success rate. The average success rate that I have is 90%, and some of my clients have received a result within 3 to 27 hours. The endorsement rate went from 54% in the last year now down to 40%. So it's a very, very highly competitive process, and I'm here to help you. Some of my clients are from big tech: Sony, LinkedIn, Meta, Google, Zoom, Oracle, Coinbase, and Intel. I do help investors, startup founders, CTOs, CEOs, COOs, VPs, and then loads of other people, have UX design experience, game designers, digital marketers, cybersecurity experts, customer success, semiconductor specialists, product managers, marketers, biz dev, data science. The list goes on. I also help students who had an MBA and PhD from these top tier Russell Group universities in the UK and US: LBS, Oxford, Imperial, London, and Yale. So here are some of my first top 10 tips. The first one is to prepare early. The biggest mistake that applicants make is starting too late, trust me, because I get a lot of applicants who come to me and say they want to submit, in a few weeks or in a few months. Yes, sometimes that is possible, but a strong global talent profile is built over, maybe 6 months, maybe years, but definitely not weeks. Okay, so begin preparing your application, 6 to 12 months before you want to apply. This gives you time to build impact, build solid relationships, build external recognition and a public profile, and it also gives you time to collect your evidence as well. The earlier you begin developing your external recognition, your public profile, your personal brand, the easier the process will be when you start preparing your global talent visa application. At the same time, it can also strengthen your job prospects if you are looking for work as well. So it does have a dual purpose. I find that when I help my clients with their global talent visa applications and their interviewing as well, they use some of the evidence that we create and some of the examples because they're talking through them with me, and then their CVs are polished. So puts them in good stead for applying for jobs. The guidelines state that any evidence that's created solely to support the timing of your application may not be considered. So, in other words, the assessors will review the dates of your evidence, and if they are too close to submission date, they may not accept them. So, to reduce this risk, it is best to prepare early. That way, by the time you're ready to apply, sufficient time has passed, and this is less likely to be an issue. So think of your application as a portfolio of your leadership and your work, a PhD of your career, if you will. I have a lot of clients who say that, and it's not a last minute paperwork exercise. It does take time, so please do prepare early. Your experts. Find experts outside of your organization. Your recognition must extend beyond your day-to-day work and beyond, from your employer. So have a think, seek mentors, collaborators, or referees or experts who work at respected companies, who lead recognized tech organizations. But not only that, they should also have credible industry standing. They can independently validate your impact. Letters from direct managers may be helpful, but letters from external industry leaders are more powerful. So this is because they show that your influence is broader than your job title. Build your personal brand is my top 3. A strong public profile strengthens your credibility. This includes thought leadership, articles or blogs. The guidelines provide that you shouldn't really submit anything from LinkedIn, Medium, or Substack. It doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't do them. I always advise my clients, yes, that's a great starting point, but for the purposes of the Global Talent Visa application, we can't use them as evidence. But it's a great starting point as a platform, which is your own platform, to then look at potentially writing in, bigger tech platforms, ones that have a lot of readership outside of your own network, so that it's considered a third-party platform and not your own. Any panel discussions, any media features, any speaking engagements and conferences and large technology industry events, or any interviews that the media contacts you on and interviews you about your specific expertise. Being invited as a judge at a technology competition is always good as well. So when someone searches your name, there should be visible proof of your expertise. So having a digital footprint is very important. Your public presence should also align with your narrative as a thought leader in tech, and you should be Googleable. I always ask my clients to not only Google their experts, because their experts also have to have a credible standing in the industry. You also have to be credible, have public profile, and that you are Googleable, so that the expert can feel like they know, like, and trust you, and know, like, and trust your experts as well. If your day-to-day job requires you to be visible, distinguish what you do for your job and what you do external to your job. Okay, so make sure that there's a clear distinction between the two. Being visible for your thought leadership external to your job earns extra credibility to your application, because it's not just about being paid to do what you should be doing. Okay, so external thought leadership is in addition to your day-to-day job. Consistency also matters. So what you say publicly should reinforce the story in your application, and continue to do it. So if you have done something 5 years ago and you've done nothing for, in 3 or 4 years, you need to keep it consistent to show the assessor that you have a consistent track record of leadership. So continue to do that. Otherwise, you're essentially probably starting from scratch. So bearing in mind, do it consistently every year, every 6 months. You should have something to show your thought leadership in the field. Top tip 4. Distinguish between your internal and external leadership. So many professionals confuse management with leadership. So management or internal leadership is like managing teams, driving delivery, leading company initiatives, building or growing a product, company, or team, versus external leadership, which is industry panels, judging competitions, board level roles, being involved in sort of some standards committees, speaking engagements, showing authority on a particular subject that is recognized by the industry, winning industry awards, having any open source contributions, high salary, but this also requires OC2 evidence. Global talent visa applications, stage one, are strengthened by evidence of leadership beyond your day-to-day job or beyond your employer. External influence demonstrates sector-wide recognition, and this is what they mean when they talk about that you should have national or international recognition. Top tip 5, your network is your net worth. Opportunities come through people. So building relationships with founders, with investors, the tech community organizers, conference hosts, tech industry organizations, mentors who can open doors and make meaningful introductions for you and industry leaders. So strong networks lead to speaking invitations, board advisory and committee positions, award nominations, referee recommendations, and invitations to be judges. You've got to be intentional about your networking. It's not just transactional, but it's value driven. So offer help, share knowledge, and build genuine professional relationships. Not just about your relationships in work, it's also about your relationships outside of work. And use your mentorships to your advantage. Ask them for help. They know people. So again, it's about knowing the people that you already know, using them, leveraging them, and asking them for help, because again, opportunities come through people. Document everything. If it's not documented, it doesn't exist essentially. Keep screenshots of any product metrics, revenue figures where possible. If there's an annual report, that's useful, but try to link it to what you do. Use growth data, award confirmations, media publications, photographs of you speaking at events and conferences. Here's one good tip. When I used to speak at conferences, I would actually go straight to the photographer, introduce myself, and tell them that I'm going to be speaking at this particular time. If they can take certain pictures of me on my own with hands, and also close-ups, pictures with heads in the audience, they would love that, because they've been given a brief. But if you actually directly speak to them, then they would appreciate that, because they're there to do a job. They want to know that what they're doing is useful. So approach them, and then maybe get their details, or speak to the organizer and say, look, I've asked the photographer to take photos of me. Can you please share that? That would be great, because you need to document everything, and or ask people in the audience to take pictures for you and get the proof of that. And that's one of my biggest top tips. Create a structured folder system and update it regularly. So put all the pictures in there, get links to the events and things like that, because sometimes those links are there now, but in 2 years' time, they're no longer there. So save the links and also screenshot everything. I used to keep brochures and everything of my speaking gigs, so they were very handy when I needed them for my global talent visa application. Because when the application time comes, you won't be scrambling to find proof. You've got them there all ready to go. Entering awards is really important. While internal company awards are good, they are not recognized by the industry. Industry awards are third-party validations of your achievements. They demonstrate industry recognition, competitive selection, credibility beyond your employer, and not all awards are equal. So have a look, prioritize national or international awards, competitive merit-based recognition, and technology-specific honors. If you don't have awards yet, start applying strategically. Many strong candidates never nominate themselves. If the award allows, put yourself forward and nominate yourself. And I'm a big one for this, because I nominated myself. Yes, it's very awkward, but if the award body allows you to, why not? Some awarding bodies want you to have someone nominate you. So then this is where you approach your mentor and say, can you please nominate me? Another thing is, when I was entering a lot of awards, I actually saved a lot of the questions and answers, because you should have a record of it, because a lot of the award bodies, they ask some very similar questions. So you don't want to be continually, um, redrafting your answers. If you've got a bank of answers already, and you can use it and then kind of change it to the question that they're asking, specific ones. So keep a bank of them, and then if your mentor needs help, you can, prompt them and say, well, what about this? And this is what I've done. So definitely keep records of all the awards that you've entered, all the questions they're kind of asking, and then your answers as well, because yeah, it can be a lot and can be overwhelming. So you want to be as quick as possible to do these. Top tip 8: securing speaking opportunities. Speaking signals thought leadership. Aim for industry conferences, tech community meetups, webinars is okay, corporate events. Start small if you have to. Like I did, I was very scared of speaking in big audiences, and also starting small helps you gather your confidence, like also figure out what topics people are interested, and kind of testing it out to a smaller audience. And then if they're asking questions, obviously if they're asking loads of questions, then maybe in the next talk, very similar talk that you're doing, you're answering those questions in your talk. So use them as prompts. Local meetups or university panels can then evolve into national or international conferences, and they did for me totally. I started small and then got asked to speak at big wearable tech conferences, and sitting on stage with CEOs and big industry leaders. But it was because I started small first to get that confidence and then go big. Speaking demonstrates authority, peer recognition, industry contribution, and visibility, and definitely credibility. Virtual events count as well. Your impact matters, and the viewers count on, if it's uploaded on YouTube, that's proof of how your session was received as well. Here's another story. I've got loads of stories, but this one was interesting. I also have a look, once you are obviously invited to speak, the panels speaking with you are also very important, because you are the company you keep. So if you're sitting there up there with, some really great industry leaders, and then there's you, and obviously no one ever thinks that there's, special or industry leaders or whatever. I never did. But I got to sit up on stage with, the top industry leaders in wearable tech, CEOs of big companies, and I was just a startup. But I had really interesting things to say. And of course, they're coming from big corporates, and I was coming from grassroots, in the wearable tech industry. And I remember this very clearly, because my mentor was the one that asked me to speak at this event. And I was sitting next to this CEO of this massive wearable tech company. And, he was very, should I say, he didn't really look at me as anything, because I was just a startup entrepreneur, founder. And, I introduced myself. But then when my mentor, she was moderating the panel, she asked me questions and I explained, and then he spoke as well. It was a 20-minute, Q&A fireside chat with the both of us. And afterwards, he turned to me and asked for my details and said what I said was very good, and he connected with me on LinkedIn. So, and I met him, and that was just from being, with sitting next to him, and we were, sharing our knowledge and expertise as a form of networking. And he approached me and said, "Can I have your details?" So you never know. And these are the things that, you just don't know that it could happen. Just say yes to any opportunities, use your mentors, have them support you and champion you and sponsor you. And, if that CEO was saying how great I was, that gave me so much confidence, and he liked what I said. So it was amazing. So I hope that happens to you as well. And if you are pursuing an MBA, you are in a very powerful ecosystem. Use your MBA network to lead student initiatives, organize tech conferences, launch industry roundtables, collaborate on startups, and connect with alumni leaders. Business schools offer structured access to leadership platforms. Don't just attend them, lead them. You are in an amazing space with loads of interesting people, your fellow students. They may have networks. Leadership in MBA communities demonstrate organizational influence and cross-sector impact. So ensure your activities are technology related as well and not just business related. And I know MBAs are extremely intense, and you're probably maybe doing it alongside your job, or if you're taking some time out, use this time to lead some initiatives and connect with industry leaders. And the university is very big on connecting you with industry, and use that. Okay. Top tip 10 is engage with your tech community and look for decision-making opportunities. The strongest candidates shape the ecosystem. So look for advisory board roles, mentorship programs, judging panels, startup competition juries, open source leadership and policy consultations. You want to aim for decision-making roles, not just go there to attend and being a participant. You want to be a judge or an organizer or an advisor that carries more weight than just being an attendee. And this shows you influence standards and outcomes in the industry. So yes, being an organizer is great, okay? But if you're an organizer, try and get yourself a speaking slot, because being an organizer is a lot. It's back end work. It's organizing. It's being away from the spotlight. I need you to be in the spotlight. So if you are an organizer, that's great. But yes, try and get a speaking slot. Moderating panels is okay, but I know that the assessors want you to be more than a moderator, even though I understand, because I've been a moderator. It's so hard to be a moderator, because you need to know everything, but they prefer if you were a speaker instead of a moderator. So please do try and find, as many speaking gigs. And if you have to orchestrate you being a speaker, then do it. Because you have something good to say. You should impart your knowledge and share that knowledge. Take pictures, and explain, obviously, context and content about it. So, of course, that's absolutely fine as well. So if you need any more help, please do email me, techvisa@michellehewer.co.uk, and my website, michellehewer.co.uk. It was fantastic to share this with you, and best of luck with everything.